So hello there everyone and welcome, it is Niran here, and today it is time for me to bring you another video here on our channel, and it's another one of those things that needs to be added to FIFA career mode. We seem to have already established there's a lot of things that need to be added by EA at the moment, and today we're going to be talking about another topic indeed. Just want to say a big thank you as well actually for the support on those videos so far. You guys really seeming to like them, so I'm going to bring you another one here today, and that is national teams that we need to see on FIFA, because I'm sorry, okay, I'm sorry, the national team scope on this game is abysmal in certain continents. I think they've pretty much smashed it in South America, but pretty much anywhere else, and there's a lot of national teams that are missing that really should be included by EA. They've either done very well at, big tournaments, or they're just big nations with good players, generally speaking. So it's a bit frustrating to see that they're not included. There'll be a list of 11 in total in the video, and if you go on to enjoy it, then make sure to slap a like on the video, and of course subscribe if you are new to the channel. It's the big red button under the video, and it really helps me out, so I do hope that you do that if you go on to enjoy it. But we're going to jump straight into the nations now, and we're going to start off with one I genuinely have I've got no idea. I'm honestly baffled as to why this nation is not in FIFA, and that is Croatia. And when I say this nation isn't in FIFA, I don't mean that there's no people from that nation on the game. I mean as in their national team isn't a playable team, on the game, and Croatia is one of those, and the likes of Luka Modric, Marcelo Brozovic, Mario Mandzukic, Alen Halilovic, Mateo Kovacic, etc. You can't actually use them in a national team because Croatia are not on FIFA 18. I don't know if they've ever been on FIFA, quite frankly, but it's about time. It really is about time. And this isn't even career mode, generally speaking. This is just their game as a whole should have the Croatian national team in it. Like, if you get Modric, for example, in a pack on Ultimate Team, the flag won't come up because Croatia aren't on the game. So it's very odd in the same way that would happen with Mkhitaryan because Armenia aren't on the game as well. But Croatia are very high profile. I know Armenia have Henrik Mkhitaryan, but Croatia have a lot of very, very good players, and it baffles me really as to why they're not on the game. So I feel that in future FIFAs, whether that be FIFA 19 or maybe FIFA 20 or whatever, they need to be on the game. There's going to be a lot of continents covered in this video, so we're jumping out of Europe for now and over to Africa, which is another massively underrepresented continent on FIFA generally speaking. We've already mentioned that there's no leagues on the game, and national teams wise, it's pretty poor as well. Cameroon, Ivory Coast, South Africa and Egypt are the only teams, and in terms of South Africa, there's so many nations better than South Africa that aren't on the game, and starting off with Nigeria, who I'm quite biased towards because I'm part Nigerian for those that don't know, so I want equal treatment for my Nigerian brothers, okay, and they're not getting it. So the likes of Victor Moses, Alex Iwobi, Kelechi Iheanacho, Onyinye Ndidi, Ahmed Musa don't find their national team on the game, and have you seen the Nigerian kit for the World Cup? That's a good enough excuse just to put them on their game regardless, even if you don't think they're good enough for it, but I do. When you look at the likes of South Africa and some of the other nations that are featured on the game in terms of their national teams, it really is, it's confusing as to why Nigeria don't find themselves there as an African nation. Back to Europe, and Eastern Europe to be specific, we're going to do a bit of a double threat here, because first of all we've got Serbia, who again, I don't think they've ever featured actually on just a normal standard EA version of the game. Obviously I know there's the World Cup edition, don't know whether there'll be that add-on or an actual specific game for the World Cup this year. It doesn't seem as if there will be, but Serbia are not on the standard version of FIFA, and neither are the Ukraine. Again, another nation with some very good players, and neither of which find themselves on FIFA, and both of which actually provide very good atmospheres, or borderline dangerous atmospheres, for their national games and games generally speaking, which would be another nice thing to add to FIFA. Having stuff like flares and just general crowd atmosphere would be nice, and you'd certainly get that if you added Serbia and Ukraine. For Serbia, the likes of Nastasic, Nemanja Matic, and in Ukraine, the likes of Yarmolenko and Yevgen Konoplyanka. So it's not like these two teams are void of very good players. There's got to be a reason why these teams aren't in the game. Maybe it is licensing or money or whatever, but more really needs to be done, in my opinion, from EA. If you're going to highlight international teams so much, then you need to add more of them and more better ones. And we're now jumping across to Asia. There's plenty of continents covered in this one, as I mentioned, because Japan are not in. Honestly, Japan. How can you have Asia as a continent and then have China and India, but not Japan. The J-League is even on the game. It wouldn't take that much effort to fill up the team because there's the Japanese league already. You don't even have the Chinese league or the Indian league, yet they're on the game, national teams wise, and you don't have Japan. The J-League is on FIFA, and then even added to that, you've got like Shinji Kagawa, Kazuki Honda, Okazaki, some good players obviously playing in Europe. And then another example of this with an Asian team is South Korea, who also on FIFA. Even more of the South Korean national team play in the actual South Korean league, which is the K-League, and that's on FIFA as well. The likes of Heung-min Son, though, obviously. Heung-min Son does not have a national team on the game. It's so frustrating. We've gone through so many of these teams and so many good players that you can't use in a national team on the game because their national team is omitted. It's very frustrating. Japan and South Korea need to be added because they are just the best teams in Asia. I'm sorry. I'm not having anyone suggesting otherwise. Japan and South Korea have big populations as well. You'd be appealing to a much bigger audience if you added them. We're jumping back to Africa though now because there's plenty more that I need to talk about. We'd spoken about Nigeria, and their next door neighbours Ghana also really need to be added into FIFA 19 or whatever FIFA it happens to be. Ghana have a very good side as well, and they would have, you know what, it would have been a perfect time to add Ghana to FIFA. Maybe they were in FIFA at this time and then got replaced or removed. I don't know what the situation was, but it would have been great to have them after they did so well at the 2010 World Cup. But either EA used that opportunity and then since have taken them out, or they missed that opportunity altogether. Because again, there's some very good players from Ghana, and it would be nice to get some more African representation on FIFA generally speaking. Get a league on there and get a couple of nations. Maybe not even necessarily all the nations I mentioned in this video, but a couple. Because for a footballing continent like Africa, and especially when one of them isn't even really that good, Egypt aren't even that good either. They've just got Salah at the moment. So it's a bit frustrating to have these sorts of teams missing out. And on top of Ghana, we look at the Northern African teams. You've got Morocco, who have obviously the likes of Hakim Ziyech, Sofiane Boufal and Benatia from Juventus, and also Algeria as well, Islam Slimani, Yassin Brahimi, and of course Leicester winger Riyad Mahrez. There's some good players in these national teams, man. I feel like I'm saying it constantly, but it's so true. There's no reason really to not have these nations in the game. Just do more, add more, and people will be happy with you. I don't know, it does just beg the question as to the reasoning behind the fact that, you know, these national teams aren't getting included in the game. If anyone knows, then obviously drop it down below. It might be a licensing issue, it might be that they only have a certain amount of space for a certain amount of national teams on the game, but I'm pretty sure they added Iceland, New Zealand and Saudi Arabia this year. Why? Why? I'm not being harsh to any of those nations, but why did Iceland, Saudi Arabia and New Zealand get added to the game before Croatia, Ukraine, Ghana and Japan? Like, why? I'm honestly, it baffles me. I can understand Oceania because before then only Australia represented them, so I can get New Zealand. Saudi Arabia I can also get from a marketing perspective because they've only just recently added the Saudi Arabian League, although again I don't think the priority should be there, but whatever, they're trying to appeal to a wider audience over in the Middle East as well. But I mean, Iceland, I guess, did well as well at the... There's reasons, but there's bigger reasons as to why these nations should be in, is what I'm suggesting. And that trend is going to continue. I know Slovakia don't tend to do very well at tournaments, but they're a good side with some good players. I feel they should be added as well because they're not currently on FIFA. The likes of Marek Hamšík, Albert Rusnak, and obviously ex-Liverpool player, so from a biased perspective, Martin Škrtel as well, the Slovakian captain. It would be nice to just see more teams in the game. I feel there does need to be more European teams, although there's a couple that I'm just confused as to why they're there. The likes of Bulgaria. How did Bulgaria get on the game before Serbia, Ukraine and Croatia? Even Slovakia that I've just mentioned. The final team that we're going to talk about is a bit of an out there one, but it is a team that qualified for the World Cup, and it's from an area of the globe where there's not too much representation on FIFA, and that is the Central American, if you like, team that is Panama, the Central American nation, who qualified for the World Cup. They're in England's group, actually, for the group stages of the tournament over in Russia this summer. And yeah, I think they're classified as North America or whichever sort of area that Canada and Mexico and America are in, and they obviously qualified ahead of the US. At the moment, really, you've only got Canada, Mexico, and America on the game. It's a good opportunity to get Panama in. I'm not saying they've got very good players. I looked at their squad, I don't know any of them. But it's a nice novelty value, and they're an underdog. They're a severe underdog in the tournament, and it's nice to reward them getting to the tournament with having them in the official FIFA game. Anyway, that's going to wrap up the 11 that I want to see in the game, but obviously there's a lot of national teams that I didn't cover, and further that I want to be improved or put into the game, but I just didn't mention them in this video. If there's any that you want to see added to FIFA in the future, then obviously drop them down in the comments section below. Whilst you're at it, you can subscribe to the channel and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. As I mentioned, subscribing really helps me out, and I do appreciate it if you did enjoy the video. You can follow me on social media these days as well. My Twitter handle is @theofficialfng, links are down below, and my Instagram is exactly the same. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.